Okay, this is a great question. If a professional over 40 came to me and said, I want to start putting myself out there, but I have no clue how to begin building something around what I know, what would you tell them to do first? The first thing I would tell you to do is to dig into your past. In order for you to know what value you have to look back. You need to look back at all your wins, all your struggles, all the things that knocked you down in the dirt. And then you have to look at the things that picked you back up. You have to look at that. So, the one most important thing you need to do is look back and see what value you do have and what you have gone through to be able to be the expert to talk about the things you're going to talk about. So, I call that building or finding your undeniable proof. Okay, that proof that builds your portfolio of proof that really outlines the things that you have that make you unique, because each and every single one of us live through different things in our life. Nobody's life is special, but everybody's life is unique. And the unique things that you have lived through bring the value that you bring to your clients or the people who you're going to speak to. That pool of people need to fall in love with you. In order to fall in love with you, they need to know your past, because if they don't ever see kind of like that journey that you had to take, those ups and then those downs, they don't ever see that, they're never going to really realize who you are. And I did that with one of my very first videos, about talking about who I was and where I came from. And I accidentally ran into a formula for doing that, for pulling out that proof in yourself. And I'm going to drop the link in the description for that, where you can get that little playbook for free. It's my undeniable proof playbook, and it will help you through that. But I think that's where you need to start. You need to start by looking back and creating this timeline for yourself that outlines all the things that you have done and what things you have learned along the way. Now, my timeline covers a little bit more of my sales experience, but looking back on that, it gave me one of the most powerful things in the world to learn. Is one of the things that I discovered was, when I was a commercial real estate broker or commercial real estate lender, there was like a 3 month period where I had to just keep reaching out to people, reaching out to them, sending messages, basically doing the traffic or building the traffic side without even doing any selling yet. I just needed to create buzz around what I did and what I solved and what value I brought to them. And it took me 3 months before I ever got one like phone call back. And when I got that phone call back, it took me another couple weeks, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, just to kind of get the sale progressed along enough to where we could even submit it to the underwriters. And then it took another month for it to close. And then by that time it was 4 or 5 months in. And only then did I start to see any kind of like big impact from that coming back to me, because that's the process I had to go through. And those things even help me remember that even creating these messages I create now, I have to just keep putting out the goodwill for people to hear the message before they ever even take that next step to want to even do business with me. So I think that's the biggest thing, is you need to dig into your past. So grab it in the link and just follow along. It's really simple to do, and it creates your undeniable proof for yourself that you can see that you actually have knowledge, wisdom, and experience to share with others. And yours is way more powerful than somebody who's maybe in their early 20s to 30s who's never lived the life that you have lived. I think a lot of professionals struggle to sell themselves after 40, because they have a lot of knowledge and they have a lot of wisdom, but a lot of times they don't know what to do with it, or they don't think it really even matters anymore. They don't think their knowledge matters because they're too close to it. They just feel like, I made it through all these tough times, all these challenges and struggles, but they don't see it as something that others would really want, or others would feel like it's going to make an impact in their life. I think that's what kind of gets in the way of most people over 40, or most professionals over 40, is they didn't realize, or they don't see all of the struggle that they went through, all of the reps that they put in. They also see just the end result. Even though you remember it, you don't remember all of the pieces you had to do, because you're not really doing it anymore. You're at that stage where you know what you know, but you don't understand what you know anymore. And then therefore you're not really having to figure every piece of it out and try to test and refine it. You've already tested and refined it. And now it's just something that you do and you don't really realize it. And now you don't really see the value in it because you're like, well, I've already went through it. I already figured all this out. So what do I need to necessarily do next? I guess I maybe need to build something, but I don't even know what to build. So you're lost within your own knowledge and your own wisdom. And I've done that for many years too. I figured out so many things that I didn't know about business at one time. I failed at many businesses before because I didn't know a lot of things. Now I figured all those things out. The main three things about building a business, which is getting traffic so that your business can start to get more people or possibly more customers. So then you had the traffic and then you needed to know how to convert it, which is the sales part. The first part was the marketing part, the second part was the sales part. And that part was always challenging for me. And then I got really good at sales. But that was through a lot of struggles and a lot of failure and a lot of low closing rates. And then I got really good at closing. And it was like really real sales. It wasn't like you built this long-term relationship up with people or you got all these referrals. I was closing, in a sense, cold traffic, meaning I would get people to come into my business and I would enroll them on the first visit. And very seldom would it take the second or third visit, but a few times it would. But in reality, that's what I got good at. And then I got good at that last part, which was delivering. So that was your traffic, your conversion, and then your economics within it, which is you didn't want people asking for a refund. So I got good at the execution of it. And that's what I think a lot of us over 40 don't really realize anymore is that we have this great amount of experience, but we don't know what to do with it. We don't know how to attract the right people to us ourselves and what we do and what we can solve. Then we don't really know how to sell ourselves. We don't know how to sell our experience. We don't know how to sell our advice. We don't know how to sell our wisdom. We don't know any of that. And then we don't know how to deliver it because in our minds, we have all this information and we got it, but it's so jumbled up, we don't necessarily know how to organize it, structure it, and then deliver it to somebody in a way that's actually going to make an impact in their life and is actually going to move them like closer to what they want in that next step. So I think that's kind of like the biggest thing that most professionals over 40 struggle with is doing that. So let's break that down. What does selling yourself actually look like when you're over 40? And how should someone start doing it if they never done it before? Yeah, trying to be a salesperson, that's something that I don't think a lot of professionals over 40 realize that they are actually great at. Okay, first of all, let's just kind of break down sales in the simplest form and in a way that I'm pretty sure that I was probably informed about this maybe at one point, but I didn't really know. Here's what everybody really wants. Everybody wants to sell in a zero resistance environment. So that means that you would have no objections. You would have nobody questioning who you are or are you capable of helping them achieve their goals. You just want to be able to have a spot where everybody can just come in and they'll just instantly buy from you and there's no question or there's no doubting you. But I think that's kind of a unrealistic view at selling. Selling really comes down to me for really simply two things. It's an act of service and it's an act of solving. Okay. First, when somebody comes in or they come to you, and when we really think about our own buying experience, we really only buy things that we need that are going to solve a problem. So, a really simple example of this is like think of a grocery store. I go in there because I need to solve a problem. What's that problem? Hunger. I need to be able to eat. So I go to the grocery store to buy the food so I can cook it, to make it, and eat it. Everybody goes to buy something because they're looking for a solution for some kind of problem or pain point or frustration that they have. So when you think about your own knowledge and your own experience and wisdom, it's one of those things that you are trying to put out there for a solution for somebody. So when you're really thinking about how do I come up with something or package my knowledge and experience, which you ultimately have a gold mine of it, you just first have to take a step back and go, what is the main problem or pain point that I need to solve for somebody? So for me, that has been different things for different businesses. For one of my most successful business, which was my martial arts school, I was really solving confidence. That was the big thing. Now, there are many things and many reasons why people come to martial arts, but the main thing that I want to solve and what I felt I did the best was building confidence for people. So and this was something that I refined down to a point where in a 145-minute class, I could literally change a child, a teen, or an adult's belief system enough. So when you're thinking about like, what is it that I could do to kind of bring value to someone's life? And that is, okay, what first problem can you solve for somebody? What is that very, very, very first thing? Not that you're trying to solve everything for them, but what is the first thing you can solve for them right now, today, that can help them get maybe a solution to that little bit where they can maybe make a little step up into the next step of their problem or into next step of solving their problem. So you're thinking about sales as really just solving and serving. And if you can solve that problem for them in the first time, that means that you can now package your knowledge and your wisdom in a way that can be great for somebody else. So that's kind of really the big thing. Listen, I'm not the best salesperson. Matter of fact, I think I'm a pretty clunky salesperson, but it works for me, and I think you'll find your own way. You're not trying to be a what we like to see as a sleazy salesperson. You don't have to be that way. You just need to find your value by going, what is it that you solve for others that you can help them with? And then you start to organize and structure and create that knowledge in a way that you can deliver it to somebody and help them get a result. I think what kind of stops people from turning their knowledge into something powerful is we kind of walk around with a bunch of knowledge in our head and a bunch of wisdom, and it kind of goes all different directions. You could be talking about one thing and then have knowledge about something else pulling you in this direction or that direction. And it's kind of like having a garage that's full of just clutter, right? You have tools over here, you have stuff over here, you have stuff in the ceiling, you have stuff everywhere. And then when you go in to look for something, you don't know where to find it. You're like, where did I put that screwdriver last? And that's kind of what it feels like. And I think what happens is because we have so much wisdom and we've lived so many things and have so much experience and therefore tons of stories, we don't know which ones to use a lot of times that will help somebody solve their problem. So what ends up happening is we end up confusing our audience rather than having a clear outcome for them. So it's kind of like having mental clutter. And I think a lot of times what happens is we just have kind of emotional blocks then too that start from that. We don't realize that we actually have something that can be valuable for others. So we just kind of like not even packages. We don't even try. We just think that we don't have anything. And the best thing to do is really just trying to figure out ways that we can organize it in a way that's just it's not organizing it all. It's just organizing a piece of it and structuring that piece to help somebody and then delivering just that little bit so that they can have kind of like a moment of clarity on their side, meaning your customer has a moment of clarity on their side, and therefore then you just solve that little piece, which then maybe helps them go to the next stage, which then if you have the knowledge and wisdom for them to help them to the next stage, then you help them through that next stage. And I think that's where it kind of gets to be a roadblock for many professionals over 40. And I know that has happened to me many, many times. I have countless stories of it. My in that first business that I talk about a lot with my research center, which was my martial arts school, but really was my research center, I had a lot of things I had to organize. And that's what I did with it. I used it as a way to organize and structure my knowledge and then deliver it to the students in a way that would help them get the greatest impact. And they got great impact for it, which I love to watch them grow and see them evolve in their own life. Okay, here's what I would say to like professionals over 40 who secretly worry that what they know is outdated or that younger people are better at using today's tools and platforms than them, and they don't really, that their experience doesn't really translate anymore. I think the way that you're looking at that is not really the right perspective on it. You actually have a lot more knowledge than you think. So I think the biggest thing a lot of people need to do is just get out of their own way. I know that many times I had to get out of my own way in order for me to jump on camera and talk to an audience out there and inspire them to feel that they can actually do this because you really can. I mean, I'm going to be 52 this year. So if I'm doing this and I'm putting this out, I think anyone who's over 40 can do this and put it out. They just need to figure out what knowledge or what wisdom they do want to share. Like, get out of your own way. And what does that look like? Or what specific things did I have to stop or start doing? I think one of the biggest things I had to overcome was the fact that stepping out into the limelight or into the spotlight was going to be something that was going to expose me to others, their judgment, their criticism. I had to really kind of overcome that in myself and find out that, look, people are going to criticize you. There are always going to be critics out there. There's always going to be people who are going to judge you and feel like you suck and you shouldn't be doing this and everything else. But guess what? The first step that you take is never going to be great. It's actually going to suck. And you have to be willing to suck or be very bad at something before you can be good at something. And then you have to be good at something before you can be great at something. And I think that's what most people don't like to feel, especially professionals over 40. We've pretty much gone through the suck stage where we've sucked at something for a long time. And I think that's what a lot of us over 40 don't want to do is we don't want to step in front of others and we don't want to get in the spotlight and have somebody criticize us or make a comment on our YouTube channel or some social thing about how much we suck and we should stop and we should quit. But then you got to remember others that have gone through that process and maybe you have gone through it, you just don't remember it. But think of like major like influencers or major people who have stepped in that in the biggest of spotlights, a presidency or big performers that step on stage and entertainers, and there's always somebody who's telling them that they suck. But you got to look past that and remember that the message you want to share with the world is the most important thing. So stepping in front of the camera is going to be tough, but the first thing you got to do is just take that first step. Just take that first step, get out there, share your knowledge, share your experience, and watch what happens with it. Focus on what you do for the people that love what you do. When you focus on that and not on the critics, you're going to just keep going and going and going and getting better and better and better and helping more and more and more. Because if you focus on the critics, you're just going to quit. Here's a great question as well. What would I say to someone who feels like it's too late for them? Like their best years are behind them and the window to do something meaningful has already closed. Your best moments are not behind you. They're actually in front of you. I have this little thing, this I call it the professional's bell curve. We start off at like 18, we start building our professional career, whatever we're doing, and then we kind of get to this top, which kind of like the top here is where we're around 50 years old or so, and then we feel like okay, we reached the top. We're probably going to stay up there maybe 5, 10 years, and then we're going to start to kind of fall down into this bell curve, and then it kind of just goes off into nowhere, and that's where we end our profession. But that's not the truth. Up here, maybe back when we were in our 20s, we didn't see the value of it. But now, when we're in our 40s and 50s, there's a great deal of knowledge and wisdom you have. And it's not too late for you to do something with it. It's actually the perfect time for you to do something with it. These are your best years, and the window to do something meaningful hasn't closed. That door is wide open for you to do something. In today's world, you have the most opportunity to share just what you have. You don't need to turn it into a business. You don't need to turn it into something that actually is going to be something you're going to get paid for. You could turn it into simply just a legacy for yourself if that's all you want. You have control to do whatever you want with it. If you want to post videos, if you want to write a blog, or if you want to just put something out for your family to remember you by, or to share your knowledge with your future family, this is like the best time to do it. And if you want to get paid for your knowledge, this is even the most perfect time to do it, because there's never been a better time for you to put your message out and then to start sharing your experience and kind of turning the point where you build your own personal brand for yourself, where you can actually build something and build something for your retirement. If you're in the 40s or 50s, you can build something great for yourself because you have the next 10, maybe 20 years to just keep putting out these messages and keep putting out and getting views and getting follows and then building something for yourself that when you in a sense retire. For myself, I'm not going to retire. I'm just going to keep doing this and sharing my knowledge. You can build something where it still creates an income for you. I mean, I just saw a creator maybe about 2, 3 weeks ago. He's 82 years old and he's putting out these messages for people. And one of his videos has over 350,000 views on it. 350,000 views on one video. Yes, his average videos are about anywhere from 5 to 15,000 views, but the deal is one of them was 350,000 views and growing. It's only getting more views each and every single day. That one video has so many views that it's in supplemental income for him at 82, and he gets to share his wisdom, the things that he's learned over his lifetime. He gets to be the storyteller for grandkids who aren't even his grandkids, right? So you can do whatever you want with it. And I think this is what a lot of us over 40 feel, is that we just don't matter anymore. That, the things that we learned is just kind of like, oh, everybody else will learn them eventually or whatever. But it's not the truth. You have a lot to share. It's not too late for you to share it. And I think this is the perfect time for you to share it. So I think that you should do something with your knowledge. I think everybody should, who's over 40, do something with it because you actually have value to bring.